trade for a living. To learn more about who we are, what we do, and how we do it, call toll-free 1-866-928-3310, and we'll send you out a no-obligation information kit absolutely free. 866-928-3310. The CFRN Emini Futures Cast is now on Stitcher. Listen to us on your iPhone, Android phones, BlackBerry, and WebOS phones. Stitcher is smart radio for your phone. Find it in your app store or at Stitcher.com. Stitcher Smart Radio, the smarter way to listen to radio.
Are you ready, Steve? Andy? Yeah! Bert? Well, all right, fellas. Let's go!
You're listening to CFRN, the Christian Financial Radio Network.
Today's broadcast is brought to you by Audible. Get a free audiobook download at www.audibletrial.com/CFRN. Over 85,000 titles. Choose from mystery, romance, religion, science, technology, business, New York Times bestsellers, even children's books. You name it, Audible has it. With 85,000 titles to choose from, you're sure to find the perfect audiobook for yourself or to give as a gift, and it's absolutely free. Just point your browser to audibletrial.com/CFRN. That's audibletrial.com/CFRN. And become a part of the audiobook revolution by downloading your free audiobook today. audibletrial.com/CFRN.
Hey, trader, want to get rich quick? Well, good luck with that. If, on the other hand, you actually want to learn how to trade, the place to be is www.cfrn.net. Tune in Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Eastern for our daily devotional, and then spend the next 3 hours learning how it's done from professional traders who actually trade for a living. That's www.cfrn.net. Every trading day from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern. CFRN, a community of believers who trade for a living.
Good afternoon, traders, and welcome back to the CFRN Emini Futures Cast. This is the daily broadcast of Indeterminate Length, where we discuss all things Emini, along with some really big ideas on the finer points of trading gold, bonds, crude, sugar, the euro, and even T-bills. Joining us today from our studios in Boston, Mr. Michael Borth. From our trading desk in Chicago, Mr. Burton Schlichter. Now, to get things started, let's go to our host and founder in Studio A, overlooking South Mountain, America's largest city park. Here's Dwayne.
Good afternoon. Welcome back. Today is Wednesday, 18th day of October, 2017. Hope you're having a great Wednesday, hump day, middle of the weekday. Once you get past 12 noon, you're already on that downward slope slide into the weekend. Pretty exciting, right? Well, anything's more exciting than the S&P 500. Speaking of, I have the chart up of the S&P 500, Emini Futures. If you would like to view said chart, go to our homepage at cfrn.net. On the right-hand side of the page, click the big microphone, follow the instructions. Within 30 seconds, give or take, you will be registered all the way through the end of the month. What does that mean? It means every day you're going to get a nice little reminder email right before the show starts, about 60 minutes before the show starts. And it's going to tell you that if you click here, you'll be able to join the show whenever you want. One-click access, designed just for you. So, There is another option available. Go to youtube.com/CFRN/live. And that will do the trick. Okay? All right. Now, let me just make sure. Since I told you, you can go to YouTube. Let me make sure that we are indeed streaming live. Yes, and there is a chat box there. Yes. So, here's the deal. You can see the charts and access the chat box from either place. It's entirely up to you. Okay. All right. Thank you, David, for subscribing. Okay. Let's take a look at the numbers around the world. See what's going on in these markets. These are markets, right? Yeah. Kinda. Well, I mean, golly gee. The Dow's up 143 points. That's big news, right? It's over 0.5%. The NASDAQ is up 4 points. S&P 500 is up 2 points. And the Russell 2000 is up 5.5. Okay? Now, typically, historically, just go back and look at your historic charts and you'll see this. Typically, when the Dow is up 140 points, the S&P will be up 14. There's been that 10-to-1 ratio since forever. Just kind of the way it worked out. And every now and then during the course of a trading day, the markets might diverge a little bit, and the S&P gets ahead of the Dow, or the Dow, gets ahead, one drops behind, they diverge. I mean, every now and then you might actually see one slightly positive, the other slightly negative, but by the end of the day, if you print out an intraday 5-minute chart, you'll see that they pretty much hold hands throughout the trading session. So the S&P definitely got left in the dust today, being up only 2 points, while the Dow is up 140 points. Let's take a look at the Dow real quick, because we can. And the Dow. Look at that. That's a 30-minute chart. So we talked about 23,000 yesterday. The cash markets did it. The futures had not. And now they have. I mean, that's quite a move we got going there. Now, here, let's do this, do this. Okay, these are last week's zones. So the low point okay, that's the Sunday open 2 weeks ago. And there's a Sunday open this past Sunday night. This is such a... Here, let's do this. Let's do this. Let's put this on daily for a moment. Okay, so there's the Dow going back into July. Now that's just the December contract. So this last little flat spot that we had right here. So even a 38% retracement would knock us back to 22,500. Okay, So let's take a look at the S&P on the same daily chart. You know, from a daily perspective, these are some pretty small candles, but I mean, that move, it does look pretty impressive. You gotta say. Just that same flat spot. Okay, well, it is what it is, and so that's what it is. These are last week's zones on the S&P. We've gone from zone up to the zone for last week, and now we're kind of just hanging in the middle here. I'll probably go ahead and put today's zones up today because the zones always go out to the partners every Monday morning at 6:15 a.m. Eastern before Wall Street wakes up for the week. Once we publish the weekly zones, they do not change. We don't massage or manipulate them or do anything with them. They are carved in stone once they hit the street, so to speak. And normally I don't put them out for the community at large until Thursday, out of respect for the partners, but with such little movement this week, I think it's going to be okay. And by the way, we did roll forward today in the live trading room on Crude, so we are now trading GCLZ7. Last night's Concierge Trade Alerts were the old contract X. We're now in December Z. Z as in December. Okay, all right. So all markets are green here in the U.S. In the commodity basket, crude oil, I'm showing unchanged. Okay, let's refresh that. See what's really going on. Okay, yep, unchanged is what I'm showing. And gold down another $3 today, trading 12.83 last. In the Asian markets, color of the day there is green as well. The Nikkei closed the session up 27 points. Shanghai closed up a little over 9, and the Hang Seng was up a little over 14 points. No movers, no shakers, but green. Europe was green as well. At the closing bell, the FTSE was up 26.5 points. The DAX was up 48 points, and the CAC was up 22.5. So green in Asia, green in Europe, and green here in the good old US of A. And that Dow, and that's scary how quickly that thing ran up there and rang the bell. Just wondering if it can stick. That's the big question. Jesus, or Jesus as some say, Jesus Campos, the security guard injured in the Las Vegas shooting, who was lauded by authorities as an absolute hero for his efforts assisting police officers, appeared on the Ellen DeGeneres show yesterday after disappearing for a few days. For the first time, Campos publicly gave key details of his experience at the Mandalay Bay Resort and Casino on October 1st, when Stephen Paddock opened fire from the 32nd floor on thousands of concert goers, leaving 58 people dead, hundreds more wounded. Now, this episode of the DeGeneres show is going to air this afternoon. So if you're not an Ellen fan, if you don't normally tune in, today might be worth a glance just to hear a first-hand report from this gentleman. Campos had fallen off the radar of union leaders, backed out of media interviews, and sparked concern from neighbors who said they had no idea where he was amid a wide-ranging investigation into the shooting that has so far yielded more questions than answers and prompted a proliferation of conspiracy theories. As he told DeGeneres in clips provided to the Las Vegas Review-Journal, Campos arrived on the 32nd floor that Sunday evening, October 1st, to investigate a door that was left open. He called engineering to help him fix the door. When he heard drilling sounds, a heavy door slammed, which is what Campos said he thought caught Paddock's attention. I heard rapid fire, and at first I took cover, he said. I felt a burning sensation. I went to lift my pant leg up, and I saw the blood. That's when I called it in on my radio that shots had been fired, and I was going to say that I was hit, but I got on my cell phone just to clear radio traffic so they could coordinate the rest of the call. That's when a maintenance worker named Stephen Shuck arrived from a higher floor with no knowledge that the gunman was nearby. Shuck recalled walking down the hallway and seeing Campos before hearing shooting that sounded like a jackhammer. Campos told him to get down. Within milliseconds, if he didn't say that, I would have been hit, Shuck said, adding that he could feel the pressure of the bullets going past him. Wow. A woman came out of a nearby room, and Campos told her to get back inside. Really? He saved your life, and he saved also the woman who came out of the door to go into the hallway, DeGeneres said. She said that Campos didn't want to rehash the experience, but that she wanted him on the show so that he could share his story, and so DeGeneres and her viewers could celebrate him. Campos then thanked the first responders, police officers, the FBI, the community, and hospital workers who all came together that night in the darkest hour. Shuck added, definitely, I'd want to thank the first responders and people on the ground at the show helping each other out. I think the acts of humanity were major that night. And I want to thank Jesus again for my family and all my friends and everybody for saving my life. Investigators have still not determined a motive for the deadly rampage. You know, how much time's gone by, and from local to state to federal levels, I mean, how many investigators are working this case, looking for some clue, you know, some crumb, some piece of evidence, something to tell people, and they got nothing. Campos was shot in the leg as he approached the door of Paddock's hotel suite on the 32nd floor, and officials said he was absolutely critical to the police response to the shooting by notifying his dispatch immediately and advising officers as they arrived. But Campos disappeared Thursday before he was supposed to appear for several TV interviews, prompting the Las Vegas police to tamp down conspiracy theories that he was missing or under arrest. We tell people what we know. That comes from Larry Hadfield, a Las Vegas police officer, who was being questioned by the fact-checking website Snopes. If they don't believe it, but they're going to believe whatever website, then I don't know what else to tell you. Interesting final comment. Okay. All right then. Well, with that covered, we'll go to Michael, get a recap of everything that happened in the live training room today. Again, we got record highs on the S&P and the NASDAQ, on the Dow. Market seemed to only know one way up, and that is up. So, Michael, if you're ready.
Okay, I am ready. See, once again, during the training room hours, we did not get a lot of movement up, but now things are starting to
unwind, starting to rally ho.
Yeah, it seems like it.
I made up a word. It's like tally ho, but I said rally ho.
Yeah, rally ho,
right.
rally ho.
Yeah, that's how bored we are,
We'll
guys.
go with that.
Making up words. All right, I can see your screen, so I'll hit mute.
Okay. All right, and I believe it's this one. Yes, it is. Okay, so here we go. Good afternoon, everyone. Today is Wednesday, the 18th day of October, 2017. Let's see. today. I'm sorry, if you have not taken a free trial with us, go to the home page here at cfrn.net. Right up here on the top where it says sign up for the CFRN Live Training Room, 100% free trial, user indicators, learn our strategy. Click here. Click there, and then scroll down to the big microphone and click on that. Once you click on the big microphone, I'm sorry, that's not. When it says click here, it will bring you to this page. All right, this page. In here, we just need your email, your first name, and how you found us. You hit the submit button, and you'll be sent a confirmation link. Once you get that confirmation link, all you need to do is click on it, okay? And then we'll be sent another email telling us, well, we'll be sent the first email from you, telling us that you signed up for the free trial, okay? That's all you have to do. Now, in a recap, if you're going to read the spreadsheet, you can read all the CFTC risk disclosure stuff down at the bottom. We had a down day today. It was a red day. I'll change the color after. It's just easier to read when it's green. We lost 8 ticks in beams, 8 ticks in the euro. We made 15 in crude. 5 of those were from a 137. And we lost 16 in gold. So we're down 160 on the day. All right. Took 8 opportunities today. We never got the gold for the day. So on the month, we're only at 391. This is the lowest we've ever been. On the year, 27,071. That's over 196 days, averaging 138 per day. Okay, so we'll get that number up by the end of the month. So let's take a look at what we did or didn't do today. Okay. Now, load this up on gold. Gold was our nemesis today. There was a trade right here, right at the open, a momentum long trade. If you'd have gotten that, you'd have gotten the gold for the day and been done right there. Okay. I think I did point it out, but I missed it. It was too late. Then we stopped out right here when we tried to take the follow-up. We stopped out right there. Then we stopped out again right over here, and then it went and did what it should have done, but it didn't actually put in a lower swing. It went far enough to get the stop to break even. At that point, we're minus 16 on the gold. Then it just got really sideways and choppy. We had one break even over here, and that was it on the gold. So both of the stop outs were slingshot trades. Okay. And during the break, the gold started a little bit of a move up right here. We don't have anything that you could do with that right now. Just have to wait. Okay. The euro. Let's see. On the euro, we had one stop out right here, and then it went and did what it should have done. Stopped us out pretty much to the tick, and then it went up and did what it should have done. The stop out was followed up by an inverted 137 right there. Okay, then we changed directions, and there was a 128 short right there that we missed. Okay, changed directions again, and this is all during the break. There's a 128 long from right here. There was a momentum long trade, but it was going right into the high of the day there, so probably wouldn't want to do that. Okay, but there's a 128 long from right here, right now. And that was it on the euro. Okay, so if you got into that 128 long right there, your stop should be a break even right now. I would expect it to get up to the high of the day, possibly put in a new high. We'll come back and check on that in a couple minutes. Okay, and the crude. Let's see, I missed a bunch here in the crude. All right, crude, we started out right here with a break even, and that was the first one. Let's see, it was a 137. Okay, we got a break even on that. Then we missed the bounce off the BBC right here. That would have been a break even too. And we missed the bounce off the BBC here. That would have gotten us some profit. We missed the close below the trend line. That would have gotten us some profit. Then we finally got into one here. We got 10 ticks profit on that. And that was a slingshot trade. Over here, we had a 128 right there, I think. Yeah. And had I been paying attention to it, we would have taken some profit on that. But I totally forgot about it. We had a bounce off the BBC here, but I ended up doing the 137 down here. I missed that, and ended up doing a 137 down here. And I got 5 ticks from that. Okay. And then we had 128 right there that I missed. And then we're getting toward the end of the room. This was a 137 short right there. And a trend line trade right there. And I missed both of those. During the break, there was a bounce off the BBC right here that would have given some profit. And it did not put in a higher swing, so no more bounces off the BBC or slingshot trades. 137. It didn't put in a higher swing. It did with the MA1 though, so you could still do 137s in there. And the soybeans, we took just one trade in the soybeans. It lasted about 45 minutes, and it stopped us out. Okay, that was a regular slingshot trade. On the ES, we only highlighted one trade, I think. This one right here. Okay, there was a bounce off the BBC right there, going down into the zone. You can see how tight the range is here. 62 down to 56. So we have a 6-point range on the day. Well, it is what it is. Is Wayne Jett on today? I don't know. It is Wednesday, and I don't think he was on last Wednesday.
Yes, he will be with us today.
Okay, yes, he will be with us today. Okay, and that was it, guys. That was it for the morning for me. So, today, I missed a ton on crude. I didn't miss much anywhere else, mostly on crude. I missed a ton. I could have made up the whole thing. But we lost 8 on the beans. We lost 8 on the euro. We made 15 on crude. And we lost 16 on gold. That put us at minus 160 on the day. Okay, so it was a red day today. 391 on the month and 27,071 on the year. That's over 196 days. Okay. Now I'll make this red. Yeah, this is a very colorful month. It's really odd. It's not usually like that. Back here. If you have not taken the free trial with us, sign up for the CFRN Live Training Room. 100% free trials, user indicators on our strategy. Click here. When you click there, you'll be brought to this page. On this page, put in your email, put in your first name, and how you found us, and then click the submit button. Once you click the submit button, you'll be sent everything you need. Well, actually, you'll be sent a confirmation link. Once you click the confirmation link, then you'll be sent everything you need to get into the live training room. Okay? That's all you have to do. And with that, we can send it back out to Studio A, fabulous Phoenix, Arizona, overlooking the South Mountain, America's largest city park.
I'll be right there.
Okay. Everything work out with the AC guy yesterday? Or is he still working on it? Probably still working on it. It requires higher highs and higher lows on the MA1. Higher highs and higher lows on the MA1. So the MA1 has to be trending. Okay.
Alrighty then. Here, let me do this real quick.
Okay. I gotta take Jada to the doctor.
Is you okay?
Yeah, when she fell, she hurt her knee, her back, and her shoulder. Must have been quite a fall.
I didn't know she fell.
Oh yeah, yeah. She stepped on the kitten, and then the cat scratched her.
Wow. Sorry to hear that. I hope she'll be okay.
Yeah, she'll be alright. She's resting right now. But
Alan, in answer to your question, have we set pricing on? Well, yeah. When we start trading, we'll start trading at a dollar. We just haven't started trading yet. Okay, which brings me to hopefully a new window. That's what I'm trying to accomplish here. See if we can get one open. Let me take the charts back.
Yeah. Yeah, I still have them.
Apparently, this request for a new window is really putting a strain on things. Boy, finally, here we go. Okay, calm down. Sat here and watched Bitcoin move like $100 while we were opening the show. Here's today. From midnight. Remember, this is the market that never sleeps 24/7. And so we had a pullback this morning to $5,100, and that happened. This timestamp is UDT, I believe. So Bitstamp is an exchange out of Luxembourg. This is a 15-minute chart. But this does mark the 18th of October, 2 p.m. We're already, yeah, oh, UTC. UTC is time. So anyway, we had a pullback all the way to 5,100, and now we've rallied back to 5,400. So we're a little bit off the highs, but the volume is just absolutely huge.
You have to refresh it.
Yeah, I hit draw. I was thinking that would do it. Maybe not. Oh, I clicked the wrong thing. Clicked the right thing. There we go. I didn't even have to refresh one to click the right thing. Here's volume. 15-minute candles. So as it was hitting the low, created this huge candle right here. And this thing's just gonna go higher. You know, not being a prophet or anything, but it's just gonna go higher. That's basically the story on that. Was news today, which everybody remembers, when Jamie Dimon stood out in front of the cameras and called Bitcoin a fraud, as his traders were buying the dip he created with his words. He was saying something along the lines of, if any of my employees ever bought that fraud, I would fire them for being stupid. They were buying the dip he created. He then went from calling it a fraud to saying, I'm just not going to talk about it anymore. And then the news is out today. Unpredictable global banking giant JP Morgan has bought up payment network WePay in a rare fintech acquisition. Financial technology, for those who aren't familiar with the acronym fintech. The move is aimed at JP Morgan's 4 million business customers, which it wants to be able to accept payments faster, according to Bloomberg. The bank has made headlines several times over the past month after its CEO Jamie Dimon called Bitcoin a fraud, only to U-turn on his comments and, quote unquote, not talk about Bitcoin anymore. At the same time, a senior executive said the company was open-minded on cryptocurrency and blockchain. Now, the company WePay, W-E-P-A-Y, WePay, has hinted at a markedly different stance. CEO Bill Clerico says he was bullish on Bitcoin as far back as 2014. He tweeted, as a protocol, it will survive, and as the tools in payments evolve, it will grow. This is the first acquisition we've brought of this kind. Bloomberg, meanwhile, quotes J.P. Morgan Merchant Services CEO Matt Cain as saying, "Small business across J.P. Morgan is an enormous strategic focus for us. We know it's the lifeblood of the economy, as well as one of the biggest growth sectors that we have." The move comes the same week, this week, as Big Blue, IBM, announced that it would be using Stellar, that's Stellar, for its blockchain-based international payment solution, something which has piqued the interest of major banking players. Boy, I gotta tell you guys, we are seeing something happen here right before our eyes, the likes of which the world has never seen. Where does it end up? That's a great question. Now, after that incredibly bullish statement by Jamie Dimon and J.P. Morgan and IBM and WePay, Swiss investment bank UBS came out with their statement today that Bitcoin is in a speculative bubble and needs government permission not to fail. Is that a riddle? In a white paper published a week ago, UBS, which is at the same time a major proponent of blockchain technology, said demand for any cryptocurrency hinges on governments accepting it, of all things, for tax payments. The paper reads, if governments refuse to accept cryptocurrencies for tax payments, the single most important transaction in an economy, that significantly reduces demand for cryptocurrencies, governments are highly unlikely to ever take this step. I don't know that I agree with that. The tone of the bank is somewhat ironic given that its home country of Switzerland does in fact allow residents to pay their municipal taxes with Bitcoin. The pioneering move gained considerable media attention when it launched in Chiasso last month. UBS, meanwhile, is a key player in the increasingly prominent Enterprise Ethereum Alliance, having joined on its inauguration in March. The nonprofit organization has since gone on to include names such as the largest Russian banking institution, Sberbank. While that organization's members have varying views on cryptocurrency, UBS appears to remain steadfast in its suspicion. They say the relatively high volume of cryptocurrency turnover against limited real-world use suggests that many buyers are seeking speculative gain, never intending to use cryptocurrencies to make real-world transactions. With each of the other characteristics of typical bubbles in evidence, a 20-fold increase in Bitcoin prices in just 2 years, and an absence of any fundamental economic backing, cryptocurrency prices are almost certainly a bubble. Well, you know, somebody's going to be right and somebody's going to be wrong. UBS on one side of the fence, IBM, J.P. Morgan on the other side of the fence. There'll come a time when you'll look back on this day and you'll remember these two press releases and you'll wonder, however it shakes out, why didn't I see that? How could I not have seen that? Why didn't I know that? Got to do your due diligence. You got to make your decision, whatever that decision is going to be. You know, what you don't want to do is live a life of great remorse, where you're beating yourself up because you took action, you know, a swing and a miss, or maybe you hit a grounder, or maybe you strike out. I think the worst thing that you could do, just my opinion, is stay in the dugout. You know, play ball. Got to play ball. Other things shaking up the world today. John will be joining us, as far as I know, and Wayne Jett will be here today. Today is Wednesday. We've been off schedule a couple weeks because 2 weeks ago Wayne had something going on, and then last Wednesday we had a very, very brief micro show. Oh, Michael, are you by any chance still there?
Yep, I'm still here.
I've got my AC guy. This is going to be like a 3-day affair. He's at the gate. I've got to let him in. Could you take over for just a second, and I'll be right back?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, sure. Sure. I would be happy to do that. Hold on. Drag everything over here. All right. Now, this right here would have been nothing, but right now it's starting to develop. This is gold that we're looking at here, by the way. It's starting to develop what could very possibly be a 83.9 to 84.3, a momentum long trade. See, the green line's already pointed up down here, so if we get it up close on this, then there's good probability that it's going to keep going up. It would also be a 137 with a strong cycle and a strong MA1. So that's a high probability trade right there. Okay. Now the euro is coming off the high of the day right here. It's getting a little choppy at the high of the day. All right, the ES. Well, it hit the high over here at 9:11 this morning. Then came down almost to the low. Because chopped around in the zone a little bit here, and now it's going back up. So we'll see what happens with that. Yeah, that was something that I was looking for. I think I deleted it. Anyway. Let's see over here on the soybeans. Now, I got rid of I moved the Russell away because people were saying they were having problems with their Russell DOM. So that is that. We did not get the up close over here on the gold. We ended up getting a down close. I was really hoping for the up close, but it just didn't happen. So, now in the room yesterday, we started looking at other trade setups as well as the two normal ones that we do. You know, these are the two that we normally do in the room, and we started looking at these as well in the room. It's really hard for me to do it all though, that and answer questions and
okay, I'm back.
All that kind of stuff. Okay, I took the charts, so you'll have to take them back.
Okay, and I think John called right at the same time. So, John, are you there?
Hello?
Hey, John, welcome to the show.
Hello?
Hi, John.
Hello.
Welcome to the show.
Hello? Hello?
We're here.
Yeah.
Put your headset on.
We got to type a message to him.
Okay, is that all right now?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can hear you fine.
Good, good. All right. Well, we started off with a bit of a bang this morning. The Dow was propelled higher by IBM coming in with some blowout numbers, and it's probably going higher because it opened at 157 and a bit, and it's at 160 right now, and it looks like it's going to break out higher before the day's out. So that's kind of supportive to the Dow, although we're getting a little bit of a small sell signal here on the Dow right now at 23,090, but I think it's probably going to get taken out on the upside. The S&P hasn't been able to go anywhere today, and the Nasdaq actually went negative a while ago. And what we did last night, we actually sold it a little bit early. We sold it at 61.24, and it went a bit higher during the night, but we stayed with it, and we covered it down at about 61.11 this morning. So, and we covered it and reversed, and so we're back up right now. We've basically taken 2 pretty good trades out of it. And we've actually been doing that almost every day. Almost every day the Nasdaq's at some sort of a pullback, so we've been selling it near the highs and buying it near the lows of the day, and selling and shorting it near the highs. The breadth is, behind the scenes. Well, the other thing is, as you know, we sold Netflix, shorted it on Monday after hours at 206.45. We covered it this morning at about 194.50, 194.75, and it's currently at 198. So that's actually a pretty good. Sorry, 196 and a bit and a quarter. Might be selling it right here actually, because this Netflix is acting pretty badly considering the incredible news that came out, and Facebook and Google.
Which news are you referring to?
Monday. Well, they came out with this 5 million subscribers.
Oh, right, yeah.
In a quarter, which is pretty amazing. And the market, for the market to be down this much, 5% off its highs, is a pretty, it's like I said yesterday. I think that if you're a fund manager, you'd be having sort of trepidations about. I mean, look, most likely most of these earnings are going to come in higher, because when you do get a 3% economy, it sort of lifts all boats, and maybe that's one of the reasons why IBM is finally. Well, IBM has been a dog for a long time, but it suddenly burst to life, and remember, the other thing that's beneficial to the Dow is the weaker dollar. So revenues from overseas are potentially 10 to 15% better than a year ago. So that's another important thing to keep in mind. So the way we're looking right now, markets are pretty strong, continuing to be. I think I said yesterday we might go to 6666 on the Nasdaq Composite. That might be a sort of a ceiling. The Dow at 23, so sort of 23. Oh, might be a ceiling on the Dow. It's very unusual for the Dow to go through a number this strongly today without any kind of a pullback and test the 23,000 breakout. That and what usually happens is when you sort of go too far, it's kind of like Nvidia. Remember when on Nvidia the first time we went through 100, we got up to 120, and we actually put a sell on it at 120, and next thing you know, we're down to 103. So when we go through these big numbers, when it decides to come off, it can be quite brutal, the sell-off. And I think from somewhere, in this vicinity or higher, we're going to have a sudden sell-off that's going to shock people, and it'll be a shakeout, and then probably a rally after that, because when we went through 100 with Nvidia the first time, we went down to 103. Next thing you know, we're back up to 120 again. Then we made a double top at 120, and then we came down into the 90s, into the mid 90s, mid to high 90s, and then which we recommended buying, and then it had that gap where it opened at 114, and ever since then it's been on a tear up until today. Actually,
in the past year, it's gone from $66 and change up to the recent high, almost
right.
200.
Right, and you know, look at today. I mean, we actually sold Netflix yesterday, shorted it near the highs, and we. Sorry, Nvidia. I beg your pardon. Yeah, you're right, and Nvidia, and then we bought it back around 194 this morning, and it's back up again to 197. So this is a crazy stock. You know, it's really got a lot of power. And you know, Google's making new all-time highs almost daily as well. So, you know, we're definitely in an unbelievable market. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It's an incredible market. But like I say, there'll be, I think there'll be within the next few days, there'll probably be some sort of a thing that happen, and we'll come, you know, maybe we'll get through the 19th anniversary. Everybody breathes a sigh of relief, and then next thing you know, they get clocked with something out of the blue. But the only one other thing is, well, you remember we talked about this a long time ago about the power of the tax cuts, and that's what's really, you know, behind this amazing upside right now. And the fact of the matter is, you know, we said we could go parabolic. We're kind of going parabolic, and so, you know, corrections are not necessarily going to be happening. You know, they look at, I mean, just look at what happened today with Nvidia. You know, quick pullback, and we're almost back to the highs again. In fact, it sort of energized it, because now it looks set to break up through 200, and it's got a, remember, it's got a analyst 240 target. And then even Netflix, you know, feels a bit stronger now the way it's come off this bottom. Actually, it looks like it's had a three-wave pullback. So, you know, now you could have a really powerful up move again on Netflix. So this 6127 on the NASDAQ has to be watched here, because actually the Dow is coming off a little bit right now. So actually, I think I'd sell it right here just to take a shot at it. You know, it was done pretty well.
This move on the this move on the Dow was definitely not supported by the S&P. You know, it just left the S&P in the dust. Exactly.
You know, this. I mean, look, the whole mystery of all this stuff is you could be looking at 6127 here on the NASDAQ. And while it looks pretty strong at the moment, you know, it could turn weak, and you know, could end up being down. You know, for all, you know, we could have a tremendous sell-off. So you have to be sort of taking a shot at these kind of things when they present. But you know, maybe we'll give it a little bit more time. The oil numbers, there was a huge drawdown, 7 million drawdown on the oil.
Oh yeah, I need to mention to everybody, we rolled forward as of this morning to the December contract. So last night's alerts were for the X contract, but as of today we are in Z, because volume has exceeded in the Z contract. Go ahead, John.
Yeah, the oil, so the products were a little bit positive on the inventories, but the crude itself, you know, it went down and tested 51 3/4 this morning, and it kind of looks like you should be long. You'd be wanting to be long here. Not so much the products. I'd be careful about them, but the crude. More than, you know, the impact of that 7 million. I mean, that's a huge number, and remember, it's cumulative. This has been going on and on and on. You know, we're more than 200 million barrels short now, probably close to 220 over the year, and so a considerable amount of the global inventory has been taken down in the oil sector. So, you know, with the 52 number here, 52.5 sort of number, and the 57, 58 on the Brent, we're just about ready for some sort of you know, the Saudis come out with a cut or something, or OPEC, or the weather gets cold. You know, all three of those things could push us over the top. And I think when we break the 52.5, we're probably, next thing you know, will be 55. and probably on our way to 60, like Ed and I have been kind of talking about.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I think that 61, that last thing is starting to look like it might be a bigger sell than we think.
On which one now?
On the Dow and the S&P.
Okay, the Dow. Here's the 30-minute chart. We've had since on a 30-minute chart since 2:30 a.m. this morning, we've had one red candle. Everything's been green, leading up to the current high. But we seem to sort of been stuck here for a bit.
Yeah,
I think the rally for the moment is over, and let's see where we're at this week. Yeah, we've already exceeded our highest weekly trading zone this week for the Dow. So we had our highest zone for this week was set at 22975. So a pullback that brings us by Friday back down to 75 or below would not be too surprising.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see this move that Bitcoin had today?
Yeah. It sort of looks like it might come back and test the 5,000 again. Might even go below it.
Well, it's already rallying back up. It got down to 5,100 overnight, and now it's back up to 54.
Oh, I didn't see that last time I looked at it was 52. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, these are 15-minute candles here, I believe. Yeah, these are 15-minute candles. So in about the last 3 hours, we've rallied up $300.
Yeah, that's pretty big.
Since it's the likes of which we've never seen before.
Yeah.
You know, and a lot of people who are out there who've been trading for a long time, and came up through the school of hard knocks and all that. They're like, this isn't right. This is wrong. It's not fair. I work very hard to learn what I know, and I've been, very fastidious and studious and all these other things over the years. Now all of a sudden, this thing comes in out of nowhere, and people who don't even know what they're doing are making more money in a day than I make in a month doing what I spent many years learning how to do. So there's not, everybody likes to make money, but there are many reasons this may not be, met on every street corner with open arms. And I think it may have, some bearing on Jamie Dimon's original comments that he made, but he quickly, changed his tune and got with the program. JP Morgan announced today they're buying WePay, which is a cryptocurrency payment provider. So he's definitely on the program now, and that didn't take long. His employees were actually buying the dip as he spoke that day and bringing it down. So.
Yeah.
Anything else out of North Korea?
Not yet. There was a thing just dug up from somewhere that 30,000 rocket launches were seized off a ship near Egypt, which just shows you what these people are up to. It's just incredible.
Looks like Wayne Jett just joined us. Wayne, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Dwayne.
Good to hear from you. It's been a couple weeks, yeah.
Yeah, sorry about missing you last week, but I hope your show went well. I'm sure you guys took up slack, whatever that might have been.
Let's see, it's been 2 weeks actually, because we had to cut the show short last week, and then the week before you had business elsewhere. So yeah, it has been 2 weeks since we spoke. Lots going on in the world. What's got your attention?
there are several things going on. I was running, looking at information this morning that we'll put on the positive side to start with.
Okay.
Reports. Are you familiar with a substance called C60, carbon 60?
I can't say that I am. How about you, John?
No.
Well, let me tell you about it. I'd seen reports about it previously, but this morning I was listening and watching an interview of two, I'd have to call them scientists, very highly educated, 5 degrees each of these two gentlemen, and listen to the first one tell about his experience. Former NASA worker, and then went into contracting or working with various think tanks and research operations and things of that sort, and told about his mother, who was advancing in age, and was about 87 at the time, about 5 years ago. And he got a call while working in California for a research outfit that his mother was experiencing onset of Alzheimer's and being institutionalized and so forth. He tells about how he quit his work and went back to see for his mother, and in the process started looking for solutions. And he said he had heard about this carbon 60 element or compound. It is a form of carbon, and the structure of the carbon molecule or atom is in a certain arrangement that can be achieved by certain scientific treatment.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, to make a long story short, or shorter, his mother began taking it. He began taking it at the same time because he didn't want his mother taking anything he didn't take.
Right.
And she has recovered completely from her Alzheimer's. She's now 93. She has gotten better eyesight again.
Wow.
And she has resumed getting her driver's license and drives a car, goes about by herself, just doing.
And she's how old?
She's 93. And he and another scientist, the other gentleman, also very capable, had begun taking it himself as well at the same time his cohort did, and has experienced things such as his eyesight improving. He had nearsightedness since he was young.
Mm-hmm.
And the nearsightedness is gone, as well as other circumstances. I could point you to a link on that if.
Well, I just pulled up a link. I Googled carbon 60, and one of the first things that popped up was an Amazon link, carbon 60 olive oil, and then I saw another one below that for sunflower oil. 100 milligrams, 99.95%. C60 lipofullerene, and let's see.
Can you send us over your link, Dwayne? Wayne, sorry?
Yeah, if you could do that, that'd be great.
livelongerlabs.com.
Okay, let me type that in. Live.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
LIVELONGRLABS.com.
Okay, live long. What was
Longer.
it? Live longer. Okay.
Labs.
Labs. Okay, gotcha. livelongerlabs.com. Okay.
Well, in any event, it is quite an interesting interview. The interview on that I was watching was Sarah Westall interviewing these two scientists, telling their stories and how they happened to get into this particular thing. Sarah Westall had done an interview with Cliff High, a man who is very well followed on the internet in his interviews due to his use of what he calls web bots to gather linguistic information and to assemble that linguistic information into an analysis of what things are coming to the fore and what things are important and what's the big trends and things of that sort. But after she interviewed Cliff High, who seems to have the public's interest very much attuned to him, the C60 sources all over the world sold out because he was saying how C60 was going to be a very big thing. Well, to follow on the Cliff High interview, Sarah Westall says that she got quite a bit of flack from people, even though she had got lots of compliments and thanks. It was widely viewed, and she got lots of comments saying that it's snake oil and that she shouldn't be involved in such things. So she found these two scientists who are the ones that do this Live Longer Labs. They're doing it, they say, at no profit. They're just trying to do it for people in the United States. They don't take orders outside the United States. And so they're making as much of it as they can. But anyway, that's the thing. I think it's worth mentioning because the various symptoms, as we've talked before, that are becoming so prevalent, it makes me wonder, for example, they discuss how it works and what effects it has on the body, but it has to do with the oxidation process of cells in the body, and the length of telomeres and things of that sort. And it appears that it has a beneficial effect on telomere length, which has everything to do with aging.
Yeah. Well,
Sure.
the fact that it's able to cross the blood-brain barrier, I don't know how many people are familiar with that, but that's a huge thing in and of itself.
Yes. And so in any event, I thought we might as well talk about that. So often, it seems my commentaries are about really pretty dire circumstances.
Well, we got a lot of dire stuff going on in the world. I'm just, before we switch gears, I'm just kind of running down through this Dr. Loretta Ivory, who is using the C60. She's using herself as an example. Her blood pressure was 159/96, and apparently it has helped. Fortunately, I found the Live Longer Labs website, blah, blah, blah. What do I have to lose? I never had the detox symptoms some people mention, even though I was taking a fairly aggressive dose at first. What I have had instead is a strengthening of overall health, increased oxygenation, and normalization of my blood pressure. So for her, it's been a blood pressure thing, but at the top of the page, they do talk about Alzheimer's, do they not? I saw that somewhere.
Well, if it improves the eyesight and the blood pressure, that's a pretty good. That's a pretty good taking it.
Well, anyway, I'm pretending to be a promoter of this particular thing, but information is always important, and it could be that it would be helpful to people to know about it. because it's not something that I was familiar about. I had heard about it before, but I just hadn't followed up on it.
Yeah,
So
this is the first I've heard of it. So I just sent that email with the link to my wife, have her research it. She's familiar with all these types of things. I'll find out if she's heard about it. What were you going to say, John?
Right. Actually, I had a couple of questions for Wayne. First of all, I sent you an email a short while ago that has an article about laser beams, the government using laser beams to alter the weather. I wonder whether Wayne has any comment about that. And also, Wayne, having accused everybody of creating these storms and hurricanes, where were the weather guys to create the rain to dampen the wildfires? They didn't come through.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. I think the weather guys were busy causing the fires.
Oh, really?
I don't have an email from you, John. I don't know how.
No, I sent it to Dwayne first.
I may have failed to forward it on. If I did, my apologies.
All right. I don't see that, but let me tell you what I have seen about it. I've seen a report that reports about what's called a directed energy weapon. That's another way of saying lasers. I think I don't claim to be highly technically informed about directed energy weapons or things of the sort, but the presentation I saw relates to the fires in Northern California in particular, and the video presentation shows a U.S. military plane, or unmarked plane, we'll put it that way. It's unmarked, flying and using lasers that are capable of creating highly intense heat at particular locations. And they have a characteristic that when they are seen, not directly in the laser ray, but from afar and outside the beam, they have the appearance of giving a sort of a little blue flash or blue light around the laser emission. And it happens that before I had seen that presentation, I had seen reports that people in the Santa Rosa area, for example, had noticed little blue flashes in the sky, something like 2 o'clock in the morning, and that's when the fire started. Now, saying this sort of thing almost inevitably causes widespread responses. Now, why would they want to do such a mean thing? That's exactly the kind of response I've had for years.
I have to agree. It's perhaps it's just difficult to accept that we live in a world, where the kind of evil that you would see on a James Bond movie really exists. That our own government, but
I'll tell you the truth.
I'm certainly not saying I'm not certain. I'm not saying it isn't possible. Possibly even probable. It's just hard on a human level, man on the street to accept that's what you're living with. I mean, it's horrific.
Well, the point is that the more you think that way, unfortunately, I have to say, the further behind the learning curve you are about our reality. The idea that we just have people of different opinions involved in running our government on a level of political ideas is way, way, way behind the learning curve. That is not what we're faced with. We have an absolutely determined enemy that has been the most influential force in the policies of our nation for not just decades, not just generations, but for centuries. And we better come to a point of understanding what we must do to deal with them. I've said this in various ways previously, and probably to the extent that I certainly feel I'm repeating myself. But the book I wrote about exactly what caused the Great Depression and how it was pre-planned, how it's been used in conjunction with world wars to diminish the human population as much as possible, and specifically the middle class, to destroy it to the maximum extent possible. That is precisely the game plan. And it's not just people idly thinking about such things. It's extremely powerful people who have unlimited resources, who are spending it. Well, they get the resources largely from either fleecing or stealing directly from us or through the government. But they are doing everything they can to this date and into the future to destroy the middle class, to eliminate us, to exterminate us, as well as the poor people who are, that they don't need, who are just the so-called useless eaters.
Yeah, right.
And
but what a lonely place. I mean, you get rid of all the people, you know, except for those who can afford to survive. And gosh, I don't know.
Yeah, we're also charming. You'd think they'd really like us.
I know. Exactly. Right.
That is exactly the attitude that so many upper middle class people have, and even what I would call upper class people. Mm-hmm. They think, oh my goodness, we would be spared because we're so charming.
Yeah.
And we even agree with some of these things about there's just so many people that we don't need. But they are the targets. I mean, it really has to be looked into. I've tried as much as I can, as I know how, to get people to look hard at their parents and their families' own experiences back in the Great Depression, to understand and empathize with their own ancestors as to what they were subjected to. And unfortunately, the ones who actually experienced death in their families, many did of various kinds, but they think that, well, we made it through somehow, and we were just able to recover, pull ourselves up by the shoe tops, or whatever you call them.
Mm-hmm. Bootstraps.
But nevertheless, not only did people die of starvation, they died by the millions, tens of millions, hundreds of millions in these wars that have been pre-planned, that have been preordained, and they just happened and come out of the, it just was unavoidable, World War I. Well, of course it was avoidable, but it just was not to be avoided because the powers in charge were making certain that all of the right things happened to see that those things went the way they wanted, including throwing the hundreds of thousands into single battles and having them slaughtered on the battlefield. It is just it's a lesson that we have to take very seriously as to what we're facing right now. It's not just what they've done to us in the past and we ought to get retribution. It is what they have in mind for us right now in terms of trying to start another world war. In my opinion, they've been hard at work doing that. And so far, there has been sufficient organization and effort made to stop them from doing it. The efforts toward this world war have so far been thwarted. And therefore, we ought to be very thankful, but we need to do more than be thankful. We need to be supportive of the people and the forces that are aiding us at this time to try to keep these evil ones from having their will played out again. There's a good deal of analysis out on the Northern California fires as to how they're selecting the things they're doing right now. Some of the parallels, for example, that have been brought to the public attention, primarily, of course, through the internet. You're not going to get it through completely to the ground. And with details of the burning that are highly suspicious. I mean, I have seen aerial photographs flying over that area that were entirely developed areas. I'm talking about home sites side by side, and they're all nothing there except burned ground.
Yeah, they're burning up the wine, they're burning up the pot. I mean,
they're burning up the fireplaces, the chimneys. That doesn't happen in a regular fire. And
so you're saying these are superheated fires?
That happens with a laser, with a directed energy weapon. Just turn them to dust.
I found that article from John, and I forwarded it on to you, Wayne. It was originally on Zero Hedge, and it talks about in a breakthrough that could permanently ameliorate the threat of thinning water supplies in California and much of the western U.S., a team of scientists says it will soon be able to induce rainfall and lightning storms by firing high-energy laser beams into the heavens. Express reports that the breakthrough involves manipulating the static electricity present in clouds, which, after all, are just balls of condensation, triggering rainfall, according to experts at the University of Central Florida and the University of Arizona. A 6-year drought in California was finally declared over this year, but the threat for the southwestern states as well as other locations in the world remains the same. Now, I see this is dated September 29th. When did those wildfires break out?
They broke out right about that time. But let me tell you, I mean, that is so far off the mark. They know exactly how to do rainstorms. They did the tremendous floods in north of Denver.
Things like cloud seeding, I mean, that's sort of old science, right?
Well, not only that, but the Northern California drought has been created by geoengineering by simply creating a very strong wall of high pressure in the eastern Pacific, just offshore from Northern California. All of the storms that would normally come into Northern California have been shunted away, have been kept from going in. Last year, for example, they were shunted through Alaska and the Arctic, and then came back down in the eastern United States with that tremendous, long-lasting, heavy snow and sleet and ice storm that froze so much of the country, while at the same time making certain that Northern California was completely dry. That's been going on for 8 years, doing the same thing. They know exactly how to do those things. This is not something that, but they're working hard late at night in their laboratories right now to find a way. Ridiculous. And that would be another excuse for the use of those lasers, except they point them down to the ground, and clearly they're able to do those kinds of things, and have been able to do so for years. This geoengineering, certainly it's late coming to my attention after the year 2000. Matter of fact, I don't think it really even came to my attention until, more like 2012. But it's been going on since World War II. Certainly there are efforts to develop the way to own the weather, and they've been spraying in the U.S. At least back into the 60s. But boy, have they turned it up a big notch since the year 2000, 2001, and it's really been horrible since 2008. So there we are. I wish I didn't have to say it so. I think I told you recently that a good friend of mine and his wife went to on a trip to Moscow, and the river trips and so forth, various cities in Russia, and he said he has a picture of himself and his wife taken with the view of the Kremlin and the so-called chemtrails or aerosol spraying in the skies above it. And so it seems to be taking place all over the world without regard to governments, meaning that supposedly the UN is coordinating it. But these people have, certainly the UN is an operating organization on behalf of this evil force that is trying to impose the kind of fate on us that I think we would agree we don't want. So there we are again. We might talk a little bit about any additional views you have about what's going on regarding the Las Vegas shooting.
Well, the guy, the security guard that's, been labeled a hero, the first one on the scene and the one who started to alert hotel staff and ultimately the authorities, he is going to be, it's already been taped, and some excerpts I shared with the audience earlier today, but he's going to be on the Ellen DeGeneres show this afternoon.
No kidding.
He's kind of been missing in action for a couple days, and conspiracy theories were starting to spin about, he was guilty of something or whatever the case. And so he, although he didn't really want to go public and talk about it, he thought it best to put all the rumors to rest. So let's see. His name is Jesus Campos, or Jesus, however you want to roll that.
What about that girl? The girl who said she saw second shooters, or maybe it was the one who said everybody was going to get killed. She's ended.
No. I hadn't heard about that, John. What's the story on that?
I think she ended up dead.
That was the so-called Hispanic woman.
Yeah.
Well, they said she was Hispanic looking, but that she was, some describe her as annoying people, that she was harassing people, telling them that they were going to all die tonight. That was, of course, before the shooting started, and that she was actually removed by a security guard after others complained about her.
Mystery woman allegedly acting crazy and telling people you're all going to bleep die 45 minutes before the shooting started. This is the first I heard of this.
Well, there are all sorts of reports of multiple shooters.
Yeah, so there's a lady who pushed her way forward.
For example, that after the shooting stopped toward the arena, that there was a shooter at the Bellagio Hotel, and I believe maybe a couple or three other hotels as well. And so what is going out has been going out over the mainstream. I really don't watch them, so I can't say everything that they have reported. But I don't think they've done anything toward reporting multiple shooters. It's nothing but the official version. And my understanding is that the official version is coming from the FBI, who immediately took over a authority over the investigation and took it away from the Las Vegas police and have been controlling what the local head of the Las Vegas Police Department has been telling the public. They've got an FBI guy standing right at his shoulder telling him when he doesn't want to go there as far as any question that's raised, things of that sort. So have you also seen anything about the arrests that have been made in Tennessee relating to the Las Vegas shooting?
No, but I did just come across footage, multiple shooters in Las Vegas attack on a website I'm not familiar with, davidwolf.com. I'm not familiar with him. Reporting about the mass shooting that took place in Las Vegas is full of controversy. One such controversy is the possibility of multiple shooters. Corey Langdon, a Las Vegas taxi driver, was in the taxi lane at Mandalay Bay when the incident took place. First, she was confused about what was going on, but quickly picked up her phone to record what she was hearing. In the video she recorded, it is easy to hear gunshots fired far away and then right next to her. But that could just be an echo off the tall buildings. Well, many people will state that the faraway shots are just an echo of the shots that happened close by. However, there is a difference between the close-up shots and the faraway shots that would disprove the echo theory. Now,
there's an audio report out, audio analysis, which easily distinguishes between the real shot firing and the echoes, and the distances between the different guns that are heard firing. And there is a dramatic difference in some of the sound recordings, between the shots fired close up and the shots fired from a distance. In my estimation, having no expertise, there's no way that there's the same locations, and it's not from the same hotel room, just from different windows.
What did you hear about this, John?
Well, look, I think all this, you can't say. I think the possibility of additional people involved are, is something you can't rule out. But it seems there is a lot of covering up going on with this thing.
Well, I might just add on the point about the 2 arrests in Tennessee. There was a report several days after the shooting that an early morning arrest was made. A man was driving through a small town in Tennessee at about 4 in the morning, 55 in the 35-mile zone, so he gets stopped. They search his vehicle, and it's filled with automatic weapons, and more particularly automatic weapons with no registration serial number. So he's, of course, taken to the jug, and somehow or other, another man who is a cohort in some way with that first one is also arrested. And at first, the first guy was absolutely saying nothing, not his name, not anything, to the police. But more recently, I've heard reports that both men are telling everything that they know, and that they were a part of the operation in Las Vegas, and were involved in weapons transfers to other places. I think there's a lot more to come out about this. There's another investigative.
Do any of them talk about? Do any of these theories talk about a potential motive?
I have heard reports that both the CIA and FBI are involved. For example, the guy who is the so-called shooter had a girlfriend and was sending her money outside the country and so forth.
Right, she was in the Philippines.
Yeah.
Where he sent $100,000, which is that's a lot of money in the Philippines.
Both the shooter and his girlfriend have both CIA and FBI connections. The girlfriend had originally come into the U.S., gained admission into the U.S. From a foreign country, I think maybe Mexico, I'm not sure, under sponsorship of the CIA. The shooter, so-called, was a small plane pilot, and he worked both for the CIA and the FBI in making deliveries of weaponry for various activities that they were involved in. And so there are just fingerprints all over these things that have to do with the deep state. There is a man by the name of Jake Morphonius, who has a YouTube channel. He's an investigative person, and he has an email, or he has a YouTube report out this morning that he and his wife and children have been the subject of actions taken against them, rigging their cars, slashing their tires. Just last night, his wife was driving their children on the freeway, and tires blew out, and the examination found that all four tires had been I wouldn't say slashed, but somehow fixed in such a way that's to be subject to blowout. They were safe, but anyway, he's got them taken care of. His car he had been reporting on his own investigations, going there and talking with various law enforcement officials and so forth, as well as other witnesses. And he's been putting that information out. His channel on YouTube is called End Times Report, I think.
End Times Report, okay.
That his name is Jake Morphonios, Morphonios. And he's basically reporting about the nature of the facts. I've seen some report, one report at least, in which, a recent one, I thought it had almost no credibility to start with, that there was shooting actually occurring from helicopters. I thought, I mean, surely the crowd would have noticed that if that were the case. But nevertheless...
Yeah, you would certainly think. I hadn't heard that.
But I heard another report from a different source this morning that helicopters have somehow been confirmed as having been involved. I don't know.
Could they have been attempting to take out the shooter?
You're going to have to ask someone higher up the chain than I am.
Gotcha.
To get an answer to that. So the point is that nothing of that kind have been reported by the authorities as being part of their actions to thwart this thing, or that there was a need for any such thing, since the man who was the shooter is already dead in the hotel room, and he was the only one active,
right, as
far as the official reports are concerned.
So where's the girlfriend now? Is she in custody, or is she free, out and about?
I can't answer that. I don't know the answer.
John, do you know?
I had heard that she was back in the U.S. and that I don't know any more than that.
John,
no, I haven't heard anything. No, I don't know.
She would seem like the most credible link that we, the public, are aware of.
Yeah. Did Wayne? Did you hear about this woman who was killed in a car bomb? She's the one who was responsible for the Panama Papers leaking.
Yes.
What do you make of that?
Well, I think it's another indication of just how willing to use every tool available to blow people away. I mean, there are lots of murders taking place. There have been multiple murders that have taken place following the so-called election experiences of this past year. People relating to the DNC and this so-called investigation into the Trump connection with Russia is exactly according to the rules for radicals. One of them being accuse your opponent of exactly what you've done yourself, and it'll give you a lot of cover. The evidence is coming out, and apparently coming from WikiLeaks, of just how extensive the back over a number of years, the payoffs from various Russians have been to the Clintons, and I would almost certainly to Obama as well. I think Obama was late getting into the game, maybe, but he certainly seems to have been aggressive and trying to enrich himself as effectively as possible, well before his second term come to an end. And a lot of these things with the Clinton Foundation are just beyond belief, practically, in terms of the kinds of things. And we've had so many law enforcement people, lawyers and otherwise, who have met untimely deaths relating to the investigation of the DNC and that kind of thing.
Yeah. What about this, the nuclear deal? You heard about that? The FBI is looking into it right now. The Clinton deal on the nuclear.
Oh, yes.
In Russia.
Right. Well, the problem, it seems to me, I can't tell who's on first in regard to the FBI. Undoubtedly, there are factions of both the FBI, the CIA, the NSA, that are the good guys and the bad guys. And who's going to prevail from time to time is highly uncertain. Some people are saying the good guys have definitely won, and it's just a matter of cleaning things up and wrapping it up and so forth, and the big shoes are starting to fall, but they still have to come around, as far as I can tell. It looks like there's much more still at risk than I'm certainly not at the point of being informed well enough to say that, yeah, the good guys have won. I'll put it that way.
Mm-hmm.
My. These are some crazy times we live in.
Yeah. The silver and gold markets certainly seem to be as highly manipulated as ever. They're still using the derivative markets, the paper market, and those metals to keep the price in the U.S. Well in check. But there's more and more progress being made by the BRICS countries, particularly Russia, China, and others, Iran, to begin trading oil in the yuan and more specifically trading in gold.
Well, did you read that Russia is issuing their own cryptocurrency? The government is. It's going to be. It's the what do they call it, John? The
Crypto ruble.
Crypto ruble, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That was out yesterday.
I'm not. I don't think the crypto that the cryptocurrency in my mind is a bad name. That is, it's not pertinent to the type of thing, the coin that they're talking about. A currency needs to have stable value. It is not a currency if it doesn't. Those crypto coins, Bitcoin or others, in my estimation, they can only be measured in their value by using another currency, such as the dollar, to measure them. And the reason people are getting into them, in my estimation, is not to find an alternative currency to the dollar. They're getting into them because they are highly speculative, and as demand booms, they soar in so-called value.
Mm-hmm.
That is not what a currency does. You have to have a currency such as, well, whatever you call it. I mean, the dollar is certainly not a good currency because its dollar has been designed to fail. It has been designed to, over a long period of time, give these people the chance to use its declining value to acquire assets, when finally we'll all end up holding the bag of a worthless currency.
Well, all fiat currency, the value is based upon the world at large agreeing that it's worth whatever.
Well, it starts out by relying upon a law of the United States. We're talking about the dollar, requiring everyone in the country to accept the dollar as payment for any debts.
All debts, how did it go? All debts, private and legal? No.
Legal tender for all debts, public and private.
There you go.
That's by statute. And so you have mandatory use of it. First, on the basis that it is exchangeable at any time for a guaranteed amount of gold. And then, of course, that got knocked into a cocked hat by Roosevelt. And then the whole world got put on the system at the end of World War II, when the United States, using the Depression to do it, was the owner of most of the monetary gold in the world at the time. And so therefore was in the position of demanding that the whole world use nothing but the dollar in terms of international trade and commerce. So we became the reserve currency for every nation. And that's been basically enforced at gunpoint ever since. And anybody who decides to get off the train is mowed down, such as whether it's Iraq or Libya or you name it, anyone around the country, around the world that has tried to do business without the dollar has been the subject of democratization, as they call it. And they're still trying to make that stick now, but the BRICS nations have joined together, especially for the point of slowly organizing and getting their ducks in a row to be able to go to their own currency system that will have a stable value. Because this private, I'm telling you, people still don't understand that our money system is a privately owned monopoly, owned by, controlled by the Rothschilds and the other more minor elite players, but it is a privately owned bank.
Yeah, we've been banging that drum since 2005.
Yeah.
Anybody that's ever tuned into this radio program has to be aware of that at this point. But the masses, they hear Federal Reserve, and well, that's a government entity. I mean, There is a cryptocurrency out there now that's backed by gold. There's probably even more than one. In fact, there's one called 1 gram. It's backed by gold and Sharia compliant. Wow. Yeah, as I scan down here, I see that there's certainly more than one gold-backed cryptocurrency. There's bullion coin. There's 1 gram, gold mint, where the list goes on.
Mm-hmm.
This is the Wild Wild West like we've never seen it before.
Well, it's interesting. The situation with a crypto coin being gold backed, it means you have to have gold stored someplace in someone else's possession.
Right. Yeah, you got to trust. Islamic financial services and technology company 1 gram is partnering with Gold Guard, the Dubai-based online gold trading platform that is building one of the world's largest gold vaults inside the Dubai Airport Free Zone to create the first completely gold-backed digital currency globally. Each token represents a gram of gold, and with Sharia scholars on 1 gram's board, it ensures that the company is fully compliant with Islamic finance requirements.
Mm-hmm.
Currently, the Islamic finance sector is responsible for managing around 1% of global GDP and growing at nearly 20% per year. While there's an estimated 1.8 billion Muslims worldwide, according to a study in 2015, equating to around 1/4 of the global population, 1 gram is seen as a Sharia-compliant method for them to keep gold in a digital format that is both secure and digitally transferable, including across borders. Now, just as we see ISIS, hopefully, apparently, being taken down, taken out, surrendering, giving up, whatever the case might be, and knock on wood, I don't want to jump the gun on that, but now we're seeing new ways of financing, in some cases anonymously. That was the big thing on Bitcoin originally, was that it was anonymous and people used it to buy drugs and hitmen and guns and all these other things on the dark web, on Silk Road. Now, the couple of small accounts that I have for cryptocurrency, those required identification. I mean, I had to take a selfie, I had to upload state-issued identification. I mean, by no means was that a anonymous transaction. Now, I suppose from that account, I could, move, coins around from exchange to exchange to exchange to, at some point, it might become transparent. But, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. But the ability to fund these terrorist factions, I mean, to me, it just, this whole thing about ISIS, just all of a sudden, just everybody throws down their guns and throws up their hands. While I certainly want to see them go away permanently, I'm suspicious. Maybe I'm just suspicious by nature. What about you, John? Are you comfortable with the way they've just thrown down their arms and raised their arms at the same time? Doesn't that smell of something? What about you, Wayne?
Well, let's start back at what we'll call the beginning for this particular point, and that is 9/11. And I think in my mind, the facts are clear that Osama bin Laden was a figure that was, in fact, a CIA asset at the time. He was also terminally ill at the time of 9/11.
Yeah, he was on dialysis, right? I mean, the thought of this guy on dialysis being moved from cave to cave, that's a wild one.
A hospital over here, I believe it was in the eastern United States, for treatment at the time, and he died in December of 2001. a couple of months after that thing. So this whole thing has been a charade. And ISIS simply took over where Al-Qaeda left off. Al-Qaeda and Osama bin Laden being a creation of the deep state of the U.S., that is the parts of the CIA and other clandestine operations that put them in place in order to justify the wars. Afghanistan is reported pretty widely now, I think, that the objective, of course, the poppy fields and the production of heroin has, I think, is up something like 14 plus times.
Well, the demand is up because of all these people trying to come off of these opioids that, doctors were passing out like candy up until the DEA and the government here clamped down recently. And so with the opioid prescription medication not readily available on the streets, the demand for heroin has increased exponentially. Did you see, John mentioned it yesterday, and I had not seen it, and then yesterday I caught a few minutes of it, the special that was on 60 Minutes this past Sunday night?
I didn't see it, no.
Yeah, it's worth looking at. You can go to their website and catch it.
And that was showing what about
the opioid epidemic, the incredible. I mean, like you got like, little towns in Ohio or wherever they were setting up these pain clinics, which was really all over the U.S., but some places were more of a hotbed than others. You'd have, I don't know, just I'm pulling numbers out of the air here, but you'd have a city with a population of 5,000 people, and over a span of a couple years, 9 million hydrocodone pills were shipped into this town. And that's because people were driving, hundreds of miles to stand in line at these so-called pain clinics where all you had to do basically was be able to fog a mirror and say, my back hurts, and they would dole out some pretty powerful stuff.
Well,
and all the while, Purdue, the manufacturer, is saying, oh, it's perfectly safe, it's not addictive, don't worry about it, it's okay. Talk about a crime against humanity. This was really bad. And people, over 200,000 people OD'd last year.
Yeah, this is another one of the real cash cows for the deep state. Whatever the type, whether you're talking methamphetamines, cocaine.
Well, the thing about the opioids is it was legal. You went to the doctor, you got the prescription, and it was, the Fed just released their beige book. Now, back in the day, guys, that had the ability to move the markets. I don't know what moves them today. We'll see if the S&P jumps on this.
I think in large part what moves
more people have been killed by these opioids than the Vietnam War.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Hello?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. We can hear you, John.
We hear you, John.
After you mentioned it yesterday. Yeah, John, we're here. John, we can hear you.
I guess he can't hear us.
No, I think sometimes his headset goes out. The earpiece, I think. So anyway, yeah, I mean the body count has just been incredible, and it's the availability, and then people try to get off of it, and then when they go back on it, the cravings are so powerful, they take too much. And I mean, when you think in 1 year, 200,000 people, in the last 10 years, there hasn't been that many people ODing on heroin. You know, probably in the last 20 years.
Well, we have all of these areas of concern. I mean, just a couple of weeks ago, we have been talking about the series. Matter of fact, it's even going on in the last week. They got a hurricane hitting Britain, for crying out loud.
Yeah, I saw that.
I mean, if people don't understand that when we can create hurricanes, you can certainly create a drought. All of this is created by geoengineering and these tremendous weapons, electronic weapons, and others. I think electronic just doesn't go far enough to describe the kind of capabilities we're talking about. But those hurricanes didn't just come out of the ocean and hit all those targets so precisely just because they happened by nature. Those are created, just as the fires in California. You know, the devil winds all of a sudden coming from the east, blowing hot and dry on areas that all of a sudden sparkle across 17 and 25, 30 plus different locations within the area, and people acting like it, you know, well, it must be lots of lightning, or actually they blamed it on these electrical, the things that transformers exploding. And the people on the ground say there were no transformers exploding. These fires came from a different source. In any event, our hour's up. I don't want to overstay my welcome.
No, it's really good to talk to you again, Wayne. And yeah, there's so much going on. I look forward to having you back again next Wednesday.
Well, thanks so much, and my regards to John as well. And thanks to your audience for listening.
Thank you so much. We'll talk to you real soon.
All right,
guys.
thanks.
Wayne Jett, go visit him at classicalcapital.com. classicalcapital.com, and his book. In fact, let me bring see if I can get a free window going here. Yeah, there we go. classicalcapital.com, and give this old browser a minute to load. There we go. The Fruits of Graft, Great Depressions Then and Now. You can pick up a copy at Wayne's site. You can also pick a copy up on Amazon. And what's the YouTube channel again that you've been on of late, Wayne? Susan?
Sarah Westall.
Sarah Westall. Okay. Is that W-E-S-T-A-L? Does the channel have a name other than hers?
No. Sarah Westall is it's called Business Game Changers.
Business Game Changers. Okay. There we go.
But I think it's easiest to find her by name under searching under YouTube.
Okay. Gotcha.
And I might mention.
Oh, you have some links. You have links right on your site, don't you? Yeah.
Yes.
Right there.
I do.
Okay. John, we can still hear you. Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Oh, okay. All right. So Wayne's just getting ready to take off. He said goodbye to you, but there was something you were starting to say a moment ago. Do you recall what that was?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I just saw a report in the Daily Mail out of London. Mm-hmm. This is pretty scary. When you die, and you can imagine all the horrible deaths that people have to, like people getting shot and things like that. That when you die, your brain doesn't die. Your brain dies later. You might be shot to ribbons and bleeding and everything, and your mind knows everything that's going on. It can see everything that's going on.
Oh my God!
And you can't struggle. In other words, the torture of death is amplified because when everything else stops officially, like the heart stops and everything like that, apparently your brain keeps going for a while. undetermined length of time. But imagine being trapped in a body that you know is dying, and so that horrible feeling right before you go. And apparently they know this because some people who were revived later, you know, after 20 minutes or half an hour, sometimes that happens.
Right.
They already heard the doctors announcing their death and things like that.
So did that just come out today?
Yeah, it just came out today.
Yeah, because I'm at their homepage right now, dailymail.co.uk.
It's down a ways. You have to go down a bit to see it.
Yeah, when you die, you know you're dead. Scientists discover the mind still works after the body shows no sign of life and reveal people have heard their own death announced by medics. Boy, that's frightening. Person's consciousness continues to work after the body has died. I gotta hope that's not true. I cerebral cortex flatlines, and within 2 to 20 seconds, no brain waves are detected. Some report of seeing light at the end of a tunnel. We've all heard that, while others claim to have floated above their body. Boy, I just gotta hope they got this wrong. You know, that's always been my fear of even having any kind of an operation or surgery, is that, you know, they knock you out and they think you're out, but you're not.
That actually happens a lot.
Well, I've heard. That's what I've heard, and that's
yeah, because you get people scraping around inside you. You know, you can actually.
You can't fathom it. Well, Wayne's taken off. John, anything else you want to cover today?
Well, just consider ourselves lucky today that we have anesthetics that partially work, if not all the time. Because imagine what they had to go through in the medieval times and in the 1800s and 1900s. It was pretty horrific. Yeah. So. Boy,
I want no part of that. That's for sure.
Yeah.
So.
Okie doke. Well, listen. Good. Have a great week, Wayne. Until the next time, and look forward. And thanks very much for the invite here.
John, we'll talk to you tomorrow, and Wayne, we'll talk to you next week.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you for having me. Bye.
All right, guys. Take care. Okay, guys, that's just about going to do things here on this end.
Muted.
For Wednesday, 18th day of October 2017. The S&P on last night's Concierge Trade Alert, we suggested if you had the opportunity, buy 25.60, pushed us up to 25.62. We had a weekly trading zone at 57.58. I'll go ahead and adjust those out right now. 57. And these would be this week's zones, so I'll take that out. 57. What did I just do? Oh, I just deleted the wrong thing. Okay, 57. 58. Okay. And then above that, we've got 67, 68. $68. $67. Okay. And then below 57, 58. Yeah, Mike Reed just texted me, and I got to share this with you guys. Mike Reed, who was on the show just the other day, tradestalker.com. Actually, I've had that happen to me twice, where they didn't think I had sensation. In fact, except for one doctor, I am awarded. I had a time after going through the first one wide awake. Wow, my goodness, Mike. Yeah. thought of that is really frightening. And so the next zone coming down was 51.52. So in this pullback, we didn't quite hit the zone. Now the 15th was the Sunday night Globex Open. So we attempted to go from zone to zone, back down to the zone, up to the zone, down to the zone, up to the zone. That's what the zones are supposed to do. Down to the zone, up to the zone, consolidation at the zone. Now we've actually done something new. We've moved up, pulled back, which is typical. That's this pattern right here, which I've been drawing for years. You get a break above the zone, you pull back and test the zone to make sure that after the consolidation period it's actually going to be good support or good resistance, depending upon which way it breaks. You get to move higher, pull back to the zone for consolidation, and then a continuation of the move up to the next zone overhead. Now, in the not so recent past, it's not unusual to have zones 10, 15, 20 points apart and to see the market cover the distance, you know, in a day. Sometimes on a 10, 15 point zone, we'd see it go up and back down and up and back down. But been a bit of a drought lately. You know, I don't know if the government's behind this drought or not, but definitely been dry. So the next thing we would be looking for overhead, or the next thing that we would be looking for in the S&P, just based on what we know, historical observance, what we've used for the past, you know, since 2000, December 14th, 2009, yeah, is that once price takes out this high right here, leg, retrace, leg, as soon as we take out this high at 25.56 and a quarter, I'm sorry, 25.62 and a quarter, which is a new, you know, once again, it's a daily occurrence, a new all-time high in the S&P. And for anybody that's been around the markets any length of time, you gotta be saying to yourself, man, this just can't go on forever. Yeah, well, that's what my mind says, but then I have to back up and go, you know, maybe it really is different this time. While I'm having this little argument in my head I'm like, no, it's not. You know, markets have behaved the same, you know, with some anomalies along the way since time began. Karen, I'm not sure your problem with audio's working, so
unmuted.
Actually, my audio was muted. Thank you, Karen. So for those who listen after the fact to the recording, to the archive, you heard everything I just said. And those who were in the audience heard nothing. So thank you for bringing that to my attention, Kieran. Basically what I was saying, guys, is these are this week's weekly trading zones. Gosh, I covered a lot of stuff while I was muted. If we go back to a Sunday night Globex Open, we've gone, you know, zones are an area, so we know that we get used to them turning at the zone like we see here and like we see here, but you know, sometimes they come within a few ticks. Zone to zone to zone to zone to zone to zone. See, when you look at it from that perspective, the market's been, you know, relatively active, although this is only a 5-point zone. And typically we see 8 to 20 point zones. You know, up here, I mean, this is only a 9-point zone. Zone to zone, and then we get this consolidation. And then we finally did something new today. We broke out above this 58. We held on the pullback. leg, retrace, leg. So now what we have to do is we need to take out this area here, and in taking out that area we could very well see this again, which is a leg and a retracement, and then a continuation of the move based on what we've seen, historical observance going back to December 14th of 2009 when we first publicly published the weekly trading zones. Once we take out this high leg, I mean this has been just such a predictable kind of a thing for so many years, but I don't have to tell you that things are a little different now. Permanently different? Is this the new normal? I don't know. I don't sure hope not. That would be quite a challenge. Now see, so far we've not taken out this high. We need to get above this area. Once we do, then it becomes, for us anyway, from 63 to 67, that becomes a high probability trade opportunity. 63 to 67, that's 4 points. 63, 67. Conservative, 63 to 66. Even more conservative would be 64 to 66. Okay? Because sometimes price will come just shy of hitting a zone. And there are the rare occasions where it'll race right through it. Three things happen when price hits a zone. The most likely thing under normal conditions is consolidation, like we see right here. These are 30-minute candles. Second most likely is rejection. And the third most likely is a hot knife through butter, which is price just slices through a zone as if it wasn't there. And then typically it will come back, test, and continue in the direction of the slice. Now this week we've seen quite a bit of rejection, but again it happened inside of a 5-point range. See, we hit the zone and we're immediately rejected, where we come back down and we are rejected again numerous times until we hit this period of consolidation. So that tells us, maybe the market's going to do something different this time, because it actually consolidates. Coils, as some people refer to it, means the same thing. So just jot it in your notepad that if we have at least a 30-minute candle close above 2563, you might set your sights on 67. Not a big move, not a huge move, but in this day and time, it's still a move. Mike asked, do you like to use a 30-minute chart for crude as well? I do. In fact, that is what I use each and every day here on the show. Now this is the X contract right here. Bonds had a drop today, 2 ticks shy of $1,000 per contract. Last night's Concierge Trade Alert said to consider selling 153.23. Now here is the X contract, but we rolled over today into the Z contract. Oh, that's gold. This is crude. GCLZ. And so these are 30-minute candles. Price has come down and hit the zone at 5190/95. That's this week's zone. And the zone overhead 5275/80. Now we've made one attempt to get up there, failed. A second attempt failed. Will the third attempt make it? By the time you clear these previous swing highs, there's not a whole lot of room to run left, about 15 cents up to that next zone. And if we scroll back to, well, here's the 15th right here. Here's the Sunday night Globex Open. Today's Wednesday. We still have the remainder of today. 2 more full trading days, Thursday and Friday, plus the overnight session. Crude can be very active on the overnight session. Crude, gold, S&P, Euro, all of those can get very busy at the London Open, 3 a.m. Eastern, 12 p.m. Pacific. If you're on the West Coast, you owe it to yourself to at least once or twice get up at midnight or stay up till midnight and trade the London Open. Same charts, you don't have to do anything different, it's all the same. Break out your charts, go to work, just like it was 9:30 a.m. on Wall Street. The only difference you'll find with the London Open, there's not as much volume, but there's also less, it's not quite as choppy. I mean, there's volatility, there's participation, but moves, once a move is underway, it tends to have a little more follow-through than what we see on the Wall Street Open. Now, I haven't really watched a London Open since we began this quote-unquote new normal. You know, see, there's 3 a.m. Eastern on Crude, and boy, that's not what we'd call a move. Now, we had crude inventories today. Came out at 10:30 a.m. Eastern. This candle opened at 52.46, and the following 30-minute period, we hit a low at 51.92. So on crude inventory day, when you have a range of 40 to 50 cents, I mean, we're even losing volatility in crude. The Dow has continued to climb. The Concierge Trade Alert last night was to buy 23,000. And some people would say, yeah, but aren't you concerned about the psychology of the big round number? Not so much. I don't know that the big round numbers have the power and effect that they once did. But if it's something you watch and something you're concerned with and something that you have experience with, then, you know, by all means, whatever works for you, works. The Russell, not much. We did put in a low yesterday at 1495.80. So since from this low to this high, we have about a 15, being generous, 15-point range. We've looked at the NQ, we've looked at crude, we've looked at gold, we've looked at soybeans, we've looked at it all, you know. You see how we turn down here? Clearing that hurdle is very important. We may simply be going back to get important prices, important areas are almost always tested, so it could be that we're just going to pull back, get below this 560 again, and then make our run. Okay. If that be the case, from On a Concierge Trade Alert, we don't like to risk more than $300 per contract. At $50 a point, that's 6 points. So that would actually put your stop, if you were to choose, if you had chosen to go long anywhere in here, that puts your stop down here at 25.54. From 54 to 60, that's 6 points. At $50 a point, that's $300 per contract. Okay. However, the most recent swing low would have been a little bit in excess of $300. So waiting for this move and then this move so that you have a new swing low in the market when you trigger, that's your better move. Less risk. Okay, I said it once, I'll say it again. That's going to do it for today, 18th day of October, 2017. Mike, there's only 2 zones for crude. No, Mike, there's the same as always. Mike, don't you get the email on Mondays? Mike B, I thought you were on that list. I mean, do you get the partner's email every Monday morning with the link? Oh, okay. I thought you were a partner. I'm sorry. I see your name so often here in the radio show. I thought you were a CFRN partner. See, the partners get an email every Monday morning with the link to the trading room, password for the week, and also the Concierge Trade Alerts. Okay, these are the weekly trading zones. Okay, great. Well, we look forward to it. All right, guys, again, thanks so much for tuning in. Whoever you are, wherever you are, may God continue to richly bless you with His mercy and with His grace. And I'll see you at the bell.
Remember this, there is no greater return on investment than to see a human life changed and given hope. As always, pray hard and trade safe. Any financial information discussed on this show is simply the opinion of our host, Dwayne Reeves, his co-hosts, and guests. To learn more about trading Emini Futures or to take a 1-week free trial in our live trading room, call 1-866-928-3310. 866-928-3310. Information discussed on this radio program should not be construed as a recommendation to buy or sell any security. Always do your own due diligence and consult with a licensed securities broker or financial planner before making any investment decision.